Hi, this is Claire from Mind in Salford, and I'm going to be leading you through a very short mindfulness exercise. So, this exercise we do in the mindfulness-based stress reduction course, the MBSR course. And what it's aiming to do is kind of bring us out of autopilot. So, quite often we will spend a lot of time on autopilot, going from one thing to the next thing, from one job to one appointment, to picking up the kids, to making breakfast, etc., etc., etc. And we go all the time. So what happens when we're in autopilot is we're never really quite in touch with what's happening in our experience. It's not a particularly mindful place to be. And what happens when we're not really in touch with our experience is we don't really know how we're feeling. We don't really allow ourselves to have time to check in, because we're going from one thing to the next. So this exercise is kind of just helping us really to be more in the present moment. So when we're more in the present moment, when we're taking notice, then that's all we're doing. We're just doing one thing, and we're doing it mindfully, bringing all our awareness into this one activity. So the more we do that, the more practice we get at being more focused on one thing, the more we can apply that in lots of different areas of our lives as well. And when we can do that, we can also give us an opportunity to have more breadth of understanding about what's happening for us, and then ultimately more choice. So more choice about actually coming into the world and experience through a responding place rather than a knee-jerk reaction. So what we're going to do is, so we're going to bring all our awareness to a natural object. So I'll tell you a little bit about it, and then you might want to pause the video and get an actual object. So you probably got objects around the house collecting dust, maybe you picked up from the beach or a walk somewhere. So things like, a beautiful stone, something that caught your attention. A shell, maybe. You might be able to see that. So a shell. A pine cone. This is a particularly big pine cone. What else have we got here? Yeah, more little stones, little shells. And you might have a house plant as well. Maybe a cactus, a spider plant, anything, it doesn't matter. So what I'd like you to do is, if you haven't got something to hand now, is go and find something. And you don't have to find the biggest, the most beautiful, the shiniest, the best. That's not what we're doing in this practice. This practice is about bringing awareness to whatever it is that we're looking at in that moment. So if you haven't found anything, off you go, press pause, and then come back to us. Okay, if you have got something wonderful, so what I'd like you to do is take hold of your object if you can. Maybe it's a big pot plant, you can't, so you can sit next to it, and just hold it in your hand. So I'm going to use this big pine cone because obviously it's quite big and you can see it. So first of all, if you are able to hold it in your hand, just feel the weight of it. So bring all your awareness to the weight of this object on your hand, really taking notice. So see what it feels like to hold this in your hand. And maybe bring your other hand up so you can have a sense of the weight a bit more. Yeah, just notice what that feels like. And while you're holding it, just having a sense of what the points of contact are like on your hand. So maybe there's a flat point of contact depending on what you're holding. Maybe there's little bits of contact, like with this, there's little bits here from the edges. And then what's the temperature like? Does it feel quite cool, cold, warm? Maybe there's no sense of temperature. Maybe it feels quite similar to the temperature in your hands. And then bringing in awareness of what it looks like. So bring it in a bit closer. So we quite often feel like we are aware of things, and we really look at stuff. But actually, when we do bring awareness and we take time to really pay attention, we notice that actually we probably have missed a lot of things. So I'd like you to take your object if you can. If you have got a big plant, maybe just a leaf, hold it in your hand, and really take a good look, really zooming in. The first sort of noticing the colours, what the colours like. Maybe there's different shades, maybe different tones. Move it around in your hand where you can see the shadows. So what we're trying to cultivate here is a sense of curiosity. Really being curious about what's here. Quite often in mindfulness we talk about coming into a beginner's mind. So this sense that we've never seen this object before. So I've seen this object lots of times. But actually, if I look really closely, there'll be detail in there I've never seen before. So I'm trying to cultivate a sense of curiosity. So looking at the patterns. Does it look sharp? Does it look smooth? But when you're looking at it, you can feel it as well. What does it feel like? Maybe having a sense of that sharpness or the smoothness. And if it helps, close your eyes. Quite often when we close our eyes, and we can come into a felt sense a bit deeper. So just noticing where the mind is. Is the mind wandered off? If it has, bring it back into your object. You can open your eyes now if you like. And maybe bring it up a bit higher if you can. Maybe look from a different angle, from above. Maybe if you can put it up against a window where there's some light. Is your object solid? Is it transparent? Is it slightly see-through? Just see if you can take delight in this simple object, which actually is quite complex. That we might just take for granted. It just sits on the shelf getting dusty. And then I'd like you to bring it up to your nose. Give it a smell. Is there any smell at all? Might be really, really subtle. Quite often if you cup your hands and have a smell with your cupped hands, you might be able to smell a bit more. And then put it up to your ear. Does it make a noise? So maybe if you give it a bit of a squidge, if it's quite solid like this object that I have, maybe if you give it a tap, a knock. Or maybe if you can move it around, you can very gently squidge it around. Yeah, and then bringing the object back to you. Now, I'm not going to suggest we use our sense of taste, unless you think it's safe to do so. We don't really need to go that far. Yeah, so we've looked at the object in terms of what does it look like, what does it smell like, does it make a sound, and yeah, the felt sense of it. So we felt the object as well. So yeah, as I said, we can bring this awareness more into our everyday activities, just paying attention to what's there, really taking pleasure in simplicity, and just seeing how it makes us feel. Because while I was with this object, I wasn't anywhere else. I wasn't in my mind, stuck in worry, stuck in anxiety. I was just here with this object now, taking delight as best I can. So I hope you enjoyed that, and I hope you maybe have a bit more kind of connection with your objects, whichever you chose. And yeah, see if you can apply that quality of taking notice into the rest of your day. Okay, take care.